the 163rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third and for all intents and purposes last week of December 2013. This episode is titled Longest Road. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by The Permissioner by Arkus. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to thepermissioner.com. Hopefully soon will be Salesforce One ready. Hint, hint. As I look across the person who's responsible for doing that.
Soon enough.
I am your host, Jason Howard, and joining me, the co-host, and also is responsible for making the Permissioner Salesforce One ready. It's Justin Elsey. Justin, how you doing?
You know, you'd think it'd be as easy as clicking a checkbox, but
It ain't.
well, it is and it isn't. It is if you don't care what it renders, but it isn't if you want to make it like a nice mobile experience.
Yeah, so you showed me
I showed you two versions.
I ain't going to show one.
I showed you here it is as a straight up visual first page,
yes.
and you were like, "Oh, this isn't that bad."
Yeah.
And then I showed it to you as a mobilized look and feel, and
Right.
it was a lot better, right?
Yeah, it's better. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's not just if your Visual Force page was perfectly built to start and shrunk well and didn't have a lot of form fields and stuff, I'm sure it would work great. But ours was pretty customized. I mean, we did a lot of standardized stuff, but anyway. So that'll be coming anytime in 2014.
Look for it to drop in 2014.
That's right. I'll make a commitment.
Not making it in time for, the Academy Awards for this year, but maybe for next year.
Right. So speaking of this year and next year,
Yeah.
it's the last part of the year.
It is.
That is a amazing
That's
amount
a
of
fact.
That is an amazing
Jack.
amount of pods. I was just going to go back and see what our first part of the year was. It was, is this right?
I don't know.
130? Is that when we started? So
For this year, no.
117, 19. So 120. So January 9th, 2013 was our first podcast of the year. It was episode 120. We're now on 163. It seems like we've had less than
Less than you'd think.
Yeah.
43 episodes?
43 episodes, so not quite one a week.
No. Not quite living up to our CloudFocus weekly
Yeah.
title, but 43 is pretty good.
pretty good.
People should be happy with that.
Don't get on our cases because it's free. So that was 1-9. All right, so we will probably be back I don't know, it might be second, third. We might be a little break for you, CloudFocus
Yeah, there's
listeners.
a break because we got some vacation time coming up, and then there's some busy stuff happening in the beginning of the month of January. So,
well, I think really our first podcast will be back probably talking about the Internet World Tour.
Salesforce One tour in New York City, January 8th.
Yep.
So we'll probably hit that as a topic.
Yep. And then
Mark
next...
Benioff is doing the keynote, which is good.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
That was not expected.
Yeah, I saw that just yesterday.
Nice.
So that's a good one. It's nice to have Mark do the keynote. He does it best, really.
We'll definitely
I don't
be
know where
covering
the keynote's going to be. Last year when they did this in the Hilton, this is for New Yorkers only, but they did this in the Hilton last year, but they did the keynote at Radio City.
Right.
They haven't announced where the keynote is going to be in the Hilton.
Right.
So we'll see.
I don't know. So that's news. If you haven't signed up for that, go to that. It's free.
Yeah.
I was explaining to some client today, and they're like, what is it? And I said, they took everything they had in Dreamforce in 120, 130,000 people in 4 days, and they boiled it down to an 8-hour one thing. And that's it. It's going to be a small keynote, a few sessions, breakouts, expo, Bob's your uncle. But I think for people who don't get to go to Dreamforce, it is a nice way to at least go in and bask in the...
You get the keynote. It'll be the same keynote. So you get that.
It won't be. It'll be 1/3 of the keynote. They're not going to do 2.5. They're not going to do 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours of keynote. They'll do an hour and 20. They'll do one story.
No, I saw the agenda. It was a long scheduled keynote.
Really? Well, that's good. And then following right up on that, it just feels like winter. Winter was here, but you know what? It's getting sunny out already in December. And Spring 14 pre-release orgs are available today.
Yes, as of today.
But
I haven't seen release notes.
The release notes aren't out yet. They're out January 8th.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my pre-release org other than maybe do some testing and such. maybe go in there and try and find the new features.
That's it. It's a game.
It is kind of a game.
Find the new features.
Find the features and then tweet them.
And then tweet them out.
I don't know what to do with them.
Kind of excited about that, I will say.
Yeah, I'm going to sign up for my pre-release org.
I will not.
Always.
I will let someone else sign up.
Well, I always sign up.
I will get into your pre-release org.
I will not let you in my pre-release org.
I will hack your pre-release org.
You will not.
Yes, I will.
No.
Best podcast ever.
And so it has been said.
And so it has been said, and so it has been done. Next up on the agenda, we're just zooming right through them.
Zoom through it.
I guess you have it here. I have not been able to read this fully. I'm sure you have read it thoroughly and have totally understand it. But it's the article is called "Open Meet Proprietary: Salesforce to Go OpenStack."
Yeah. So this is kind of a I don't know if it's like a leak, but the chairman and co-founder of Rackspace Hosting, Graham Weston, basically stated in a Wall Street Journal article the other day that Salesforce applications will become available on servers running OpenStack. So Rackspace owns OpenStack or is a big supporter of OpenStack.
Yeah,
right?
so OpenStack is an open cloud computing platform. So they built an entire. So think of what Amazon does. This is what Amazon does, right? So Amazon Stack, like their hosting, database, file serving, large storage, architecture for building their cloud. Rackspace, a long time dedicated, and I've been a customer of Rackspace for like 15 years, a long time dedicated hosting provider, got into cloud computing, 5 or 6 years ago, and decided to go the open source way. So they're the supporters of sort of, I'm trying to think of another example. I guess there's a couple out there. There's the supporters of OpenStack, which is an open source cloud computing platform, bring your own hardware, and then you can build your own cloud computing platform. I cannot believe this, first of all. This seems preposterous.
Neither. Salesforce has commented it.
When you say Salesforce apps, what would you possibly mean?
I don't know. Other than the only thing I would think would be the Salesforce.com application. It's kind of down the road of Superpod and private cloud, right? So like Superpod is the notion that they announced at Dreamforce where Hewlett Packard would, I think they're the only ones that have it at the moment.
No, it's their hardware.
I get it, but they're the only ones who actually have a Superpod.
Right.
So it's...
By the way, you didn't see me roll my eyes, but I was rolling my eyes.
The world's largest eye roll just occurred.
It just occurred on this podcast.
Superpod. So it consists of, very specific HP hardware running the Salesforce application, but it sits within the existing Salesforce data center, just segmented from the other pods. Right.
It's your own pod. Instead of having NA13, you have HP.
So this kind of goes down that same road just a little bit further almost, I think.
Not really, because
Well, it does, because if you can say, I want my Salesforce app, like, I don't know where this is going, we're kind of speculating, but if you can say, I want to run my Salesforce on this stack over here, right? Wouldn't that be kind of like if you wanted to run a website or an application, you wanted to get it up and running, you can run it on OpenStack, yeah?
Yeah, sort of, but not really. OpenStack is it's like Apache. It's like there's a million applications in it, and you don't run it on OpenStack. You use OpenStack technologies and applications to build a cloud computing platform, of which then you could run stuff on it. What this doesn't make sense for the HP Superpod thing is...
No, I'm just dragging it in. I'm dragging that in because I'm saying it's sort of a progression. Like,
I don't see that as a progression. It's a departure. It's saying you could roll your own cloud computing platform, and then, which is not what Superpod is, and you could then throw a Salesforce application to run on top of that. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Salesforce has no commented it. So
I say it's totally untrue.
Well, the guy did say it in the Wall Street Journal, quoted. So, I don't know. That's a reputable source to me.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you said that the Salesforce application as it exists today, so it's the applications that we know and log into every single day of our lives.
Every single
If you
day.
say that you could build your own OpenStack instance, and then you could license Salesforce to sit on it, that doesn't make sense.
I don't
either.
get it myself. I saw the headline. I read the article. I still don't really necessarily understand how it would actually work. But hey, everyone, after that huge Salesforce announcement with Oracle, the partnership over the course of this last year, everything since then has been like, here's SuperPod with HP, and here's this thing that's now come out. It's very odd to, just seems very odd, the like timing of these announcements and where they're going. And I sort of took a look back, and I was like, I was just like, well, let me look back at like some of the things that, like Salesforce has done over the last year or two and have announced. And it was like very odd, the things that like database.com. Do you ever hear anything about that ever at all? Like, Chatterbox. There's just so many things that get announced and leaked and talked about.
Well, leaked and talked about are different than announced. Announced is we are saying this is a thing.
Do you ever hear about database.com ever?
I had a database.com account.
Yeah, but like, do you ever hear about it at all? Like
No.
at Dreamforce, they talk about it? Nothing.
No.
It's not even part of the stack.
But that's the thing. Look at this Dreamforce. This Dreamforce was so different. Where were the clouds, the chiclets, all
No
that stuff
chiclets.
was gone.
There
It
were
was
3
all
clouds.
gone. Yeah, but it was like, remember when there was the 7 clouds?
100 clouds.
Remember the
It
year
was raining. It was so cloudy.
Remember the year that we saw
The Heroku cloud.
and no, that wasn't the one that bugged us. It was the
Remedy cloud.
Remedy cloud. We were like, Remedy cloud? Remedy's its own cloud now? And Remedy cloud.
Right.
I think Salesforce is much more of a gambler than we give them either credit or disparage them for, in that they'll just throw stuff out and kind of see if it sticks. It reminds me a little bit of a search company that like builds something, announces it, and like say, this is the next best thing, and then like 6 months or 2 years later, like, yeah, we're not doing that. Right? It's, it's their way of sort of seeing if there's a market for something, because the announcement is the announcement. The reality is, whether you can actually buy it, put it, see if people sign up for it.
Right.
Interesting, though, it does harken back to my prediction at one point that I said that Amazon, I think either last year or 2 years in my prediction, which we'll get to in a second, I said that Amazon was going to buy OpenStack. So I'm not close, but I just like that Amazon, that's somewhere OpenStack's being related to Salesforce, and some of the worlds are colliding.
Right.
So that's interesting. And then you have another one here.
Yeah, Dropbox partners with Salesforce.
Tell me about it.
Business users. So this, have you in your Salesforce One app, have you gone into the publisher and just kind of swiped to the right
And seen Dropbox and Evernote?
Dropbox and Evernote, and wondered, why are those just in there?
Yep.
Well, here's one of our answers. Dropbox is in there because they're partnering with Salesforce. So you're going to be able, this is the Dropbox's way to try and get into the business world, right? So you'll be able to access your Dropbox files from within the Salesforce One mobile application, and also attach those files to different feeds from right within the Salesforce One application. So this is the partnership.
Right.
And I guess it's just going to, because I don't know how to take that out of there inside the publisher. Like, why do I have Evernote and Dropbox in my publisher? Well, here's the answer. Because, they're partnering, and this is a way to get Dropbox's business application onto the mobile platform.
Right.
Like,
This is
Dropbox
what you said
had a huge presence.
This is what you said at Dreamforce. You were like, Dropbox is over there. I go over there to see their integration, and they said, here's Dropbox for Business. Nothing to do with Salesforce.
No.
And you had a fit. You told everybody on the podcast.
I did have a fit.
You did. You jumped up
I was
and down.
annoyed. I was like, why are they even here?
That's right.
They were just pushing Dropbox Business. Well, now we know. They're pushing Dropbox Business, and it's going to be integrated just through the mobile app. Like personally, I think like I've seen the box integration.
Yep.
And that's really great. It's a really, really nice solution in Box. Like you could absolutely replace SharePoint with Box and Chatter, and you'd have a really nice solution. To me, this is just like, let's throw it just on the mobile, as if I never work on my laptop on Salesforce. I mean, that's the whole like mobile push that annoys me a little bit, which is like, it's great. Like I like having the mobile stuff, but I'm so much more productive on the desktop version, and I will be for a long time.
Oh, forever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like saying, enjoying
unless they just stop. They're like, forget it. We're not
explicit podcast.
I caught myself. Forget it. We're not doing the website. That whole website thing is done.
Salesforce, that Mark Benioff, he founded that website.
That website?
Yeah.
We're done with the website.
Right.
It's a mobile-only thing, and then the website will just, it'll just, like, sort of be there.
The only thing I can think of is that mobile and website they're the same thing. I mean, we're seeing the trends now with, operating systems like iOS and Mavericks. The features start to flow between the two. What a iPhone 5 can do and what a computer can do, they're getting closer. Chips are getting faster. They're getting faster in the mobile space, faster than they're getting faster on the PC space. So, like, there's a collision that's happening. I could see there being, what is mobile and what is not mobile anymore. Is it just defined by the size of the keyboard? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I will say as a Salesforce One user, and I'm not extremely mobile all the time, but I find myself going to it and using it, and I find myself liking it. And the other day, I need to look up something, and I typed in 2-3 letters, and boom, there was a contact, and boom, I was looking at it, and I thought, this is just working just the way I expect it to. My expectation is search, find, look, great, go over here. There's certain stuff that's a little bit odd, but it's so much better than Mobile Classic or whatever it was.
Yes, it's way better than Classic. And
there's still tons of little features that are missing, but
yeah, I mean, until I saw recently like a sort of like a mobile roadmap-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
And until Salesforce One can support offline, Classic will live on.
Right.
At which point Salesforce One does start to support offline capabilities. That's when you're going to start seeing Classic
I think they're waiting for there not to be an offline. I don't think there is an offline anymore.
No, because they're building it.
Yeah, but offline it's never very good.
I haven't seen it, but well, no, it is good.
Well, it's not good in the way they're doing it in an HTML5 environment. That's all that's all Salesforce One is an HTML5 environment.
Well,
an HTML5 offline is not great.
Fine and dandy, but what they're forget technology. I'm a dumb user. All I want is to be on the subway with no access to service and be on the way to my client and be able to pull up the address or whatever. But if I'm offline, I can't do that.
Not offline though. That
is offline. That is what they mean by offline.
True offline is I make an edit to a record offline. I'm in the subway. I make an edit, and when I get back online, that comes up.
Yeah,
caching is what you're talking about.
Caching is what they want.
Yeah,
the offline work that's whatever.
Right.
On a mobile, I mean, come on.
And exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Like, true offline is I do work offline, and then I come back, and then it comes. It's like Evernote. I can go into Evernote on the subway, make updates, and then get up. But that's sync,
right?
Which is different than offline. So. Anyway, I'm excited. I can't wait to see how they spin it in New York in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure Dropbox will be there.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll spin it even more. All right, and then while we might not be podcasting for the next couple weeks, and we do apologize, maybe in advance, we are still blogging. So there will be blog posts. There's 2 coming up. Why don't we talk a little bit about them to kind of give them a reason why to go to blog.arkusinc.com early and often for the next couple weeks. So what's up for next week?
For next week?
I think there's 3.
How are there 3 in 1 week?
Well, there's not next week, but there's 3 coming before we come back.
So, well, one of them is about community banking and the user group community around that.
Nice. The success community. That's awesome.
One is a tradition, an annual tradition of
Fourth annual. You
of
can make that one the last
cloud
one.
cloud computing predictions.
Yes.
What's the other one that you're thinking?
There's one. Isn't there one about the history of?
Oh, there's also one coming. Yeah, you're right. There's 2 more weeks. I forget. There is one coming out. We thought we'd take a look at the year 2013 and see who Salesforce bought this year, and just put out a list of acquisitions, at least the ones we could find, and take a guess at what they're gonna do with them.
Nice. See, I knew there was.
Yeah, there was one.
There's mine.
There's one I missed.
Which is my yearly cloud computing technology or cloud computing predictions. I have started it, but since it's only due in 2 weeks.
Lay one on us.
So this is a real precursor. I might not even do this one. I might erase this, but these are the ones.
Well, give us that one then.
All right. So I don't know
This
if
is a podcast
exclusive for a prediction for 2014. So I
Exclusive.
usually make it around cloud computing. I make a couple that are cloud computing, but I make 1 or 2 that are Salesforce specific. This is my Salesforce specific one. And again, maybe this is a little bit of wishing and a little bit of predicting.
Go on.
Combined.
What is it? Bring it on already.
I think Salesforce rebrands next year.
To what?
Total rebrand. I think they drop .com and I think they drop sales.
So they're just force.
I think that
Force one. One force.
I think that, well, the one is, who cares about the one? But I think they do a total rebrand. I think it's time .com go away. I think it's time that sales go away. It's not their platform. Even their ticker, CRM, it's really not, it's not who they want to be. It's like when you name a company. So I always talk about when I name a company, if you name it like Widget Sales Are Us, and then you decide to sell fidgets, you're like, oh, well, we're named Widget Sales. We can only, now it's stupid we sell fidgets. Salesforce.com was a CRM online platform, right? It doesn't even match what they are anymore. The company is. So I'd kind of like to see them do a massive rebrand and just say either maybe totally off, just totally go off, new name, but it should be something generic, that just doesn't mean anything, but you build as a brand. Google doesn't mean anything. Apple doesn't mean anything. It's an Apple, but it is the brand of Apple.
So I'm going to go ahead and say not going to happen.
I think it is.
And I'm going to say there's way too much equity built up in the name Salesforce.
Companies do it all the time.
Maybe they can drop the .com and that'll be like their big deal, but not going to go away from Salesforce. I'm going to disagree with your prediction.
You're already seeing it happen. They've dropped the no software stuff. That's almost all out of their.
That's just branding and logos and stuff.
Well,
not
logos
the name
are big.
of the company.
Yeah,
it's not the name of the company that's changing. I don't think that's going to change. I'll go on record and say not happening.
Next year, total
not
rebrand.
happening.
They drop it. All right, so that's one of my predictions.
All right,
next
good
year.
for you.
All right, so you can make your pick from last week that you didn't make. What was your CloudFocus app pick of the week?
Yeah, that's nice. I get to just reuse this. So, I've been off the Salesforce.com labs for a while, not picking their stuff, but I'm going to pick this one. It's actually a little old. It's like 2 years old at this point, but I'm going to go with it because someone had asked me to build them a dashboard for adoption, and then they wanted a Chatter-specific adoption dashboard. So instead of just building my own, I just installed the Chatter usage dashboard from Salesforce.com Labs.
Nice.
And it was rather useful. And the client was like, oh, this is great. And, go on the App Exchange and just install something real quick. It's nice way to go about it, as opposed to starting from scratch. They give you a nice templates to work off of.
Nice.
Yeah, free.
I think I've used it once or
App
twice.
Exchange, free. I think those are like some of the most useful App Exchange products.
The dashboards.
Just dashboards. It's like, these are great time savers. And they're like good templates for other things too. Like you get the reports, you just change the formatting of the charts around a little bit,
And it installs nicely. It doesn't.
It just installs. It's good.
Good. Good. Chatter usage dashboards by Salesforce Labs. It's funny. I was talking about them today with a client. And they were asking about Salesforce Labs or asking about App Exchange products. And he was saying, I'm concerned about installing all this stuff in my production org. And I said, you should be. Don't go just installing stuff left and right. Make sure, not only can it change the user experience, but you can go wrong by installing too much. And I said, be careful of Salesforce Labs because it's not meant to be. They're lab products, right? They're betas, if you will. So they're not meant to be solutions that are guaranteed. I said if you find a company that's asking you to pay for stuff, they're probably going to be a little bit behind it. The free stuff, sometimes it's less, except for our products. But I said sometimes it's less supported, so think about it. I'm going to do since we're not going to have a New Year's Eve show, I'm going to do a New Year's resolution pick.
Okay.
I apologize in advance that this is more of a Mac pick than anything else, but the theory behind it is not, which is that there comes a day and you look at your disk drive, which you got, and you look back when you used to have a Commodore 64, and now you have 250 gigabytes, and you're like, how did I go from 64K to 250 gigabytes, and yet I seem to fill it up every single time? So I find myself more often than not, especially with solid-state drives, which are now smaller because they're expensive, I find myself looking for files to delete and to get rid of. And so I have two apps that I use on my Mac.
I have one of these too.
Yep. One by one of my favorite companies in the world called Omni Group, which is the makers of OmniFocus. They have a free app called Omnidisc Sweeper, which is you can download, you install, and then you say go, and it hits a certain a drive or a folder, and it tells you how big things are, it tells you when they're used, and then you can delete them. So you can go in and find like where is all this files coming from? Where is the size of this thing? So Omnidisc Sweeper is very good. And then what size? Same thing. There might be a what size for PCs, but for the Mac, it's called what size. Same thing. I use both. I actually use what size, I think, a little bit more. Same thing. You give it a folder, and you say go for it. I'll tell you where it's also useful is in this new world of syncing drives. So your iCloud, your Dropbox, your Google Drive. Sometimes you start to use up all the space in there. You're like, how am I using up all the space? And they don't really have the tools that tell you where it's coming from. So you set this thing on it, and it'll tell you exactly which folders you can drill in. You say, ooh, that folder's 6 gigabytes. What's in there? And you drill through, and you see, oh, look, it's this one big file or something like that. Be careful about what you delete. But generally, you look at some app or something, some game you purchase, it's 2.2 gigabytes. You're like, why do I have this app? Or maybe it's movie folders or pictures, and you can move them off. So
it's usually movies and TV shows that are the culprits.
Yes.
I have one that I use called Grand Perspective.
Grand Perspective.
That's also free. It
Nice.
just does it. It gives you a visualization of where, like different colors and different blocks and sizes of like where your
Where
data
stuff
is,
right.
and it just, you set it at a drive and it just starts scanning all the folders in the drive.
Yep.
I'm actually running it right now just because you mentioned it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I suggest doing this now and again. You'll find stuff. I mean, sometimes it's a cache file, and you're like, oh, that's a huge cache file. I could delete that. So Omnidisc Sweeper and what size and Grand Perspective?
Grand Perspective, all one word.
One word. Camel case?
Yes.
All right. So those are our picks of the week and the year as we close out and move on. You have any New Year's resolutions you want to?
No.
None?
No.
Are you doing anything fun over the holidays you want to share with the audience?
I am going to Miami. And then
Nice.
from there, I'm going on a cruise.
Excellent.
From Miami down to Cozumel, Mexico.
Nice.
And then coming back to New York for New Year's.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like a fun plan.
You don't want to share.
I'm just not going anywhere.
You're not doing anything, are you?
No, I'm having. I plan on having people over on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day. We're gonna sit around, open presents, do the very Christmassy thing, and I think we'll probably watch Elf and drink champagne.
Oh, Elf.
Or mimosas.
Okay, mimosas.
Mimosas and Elf. It's a holiday. It's a holiday thing.
Yeah, why
Very
not?
low key this year. We did the going away for Thanksgiving. All right. Well, if you want more of that kind of banter, you can follow us. Follow Justin at Just Edelstein On Twitter, I'm at Jason M. Atwood. There's also Arkus. You can follow it at Arkus Inc. It's also on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/Arkus Inc. We're in the Dreamforce portal group, which will probably take a little bit of a slow down, but we never slow down. We're always in there, and we're always posting in that portal group, in the CloudFocus Weekly portal group. We also have a Success Community group, so if you want to find us in there, just search for CloudFocus, and there's a group in there. We post all the articles, post all the episodes. We're on LinkedIn, Google+, and remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave reviews there. So if you want to have a New Year's resolution, should be if you like the show, leave a review on iTunes. It's really the only place that you can review podcasts right now. It's funny, I was listening to a podcast, as a side note, a podcast that a big ESPN one. Yeah. Actually, it's not Fantasy Underground, so they're, and they've been on for like 2 years, and they just now started, they go, you know what we've been ignoring? iTunes. Apparently we have like one review. And I was like, you guys, they have 100,000 listeners or 50,000 listeners. And I was like, oh yeah, you guys are just asking. So they asked, and of course, so I feel like we should ask. So head to iTunes, review us there until there's another place to review us. And you can always comment on blog.arkusinc.com, which also has all the episodes. So there's never a place where you won't see us or hear us. Until then, happy holidays for the rest of you still celebrating holidays who haven't already finished them up. A happy new year to everybody, to all our listeners. Thank you for a great year. And as of course, Justin and Jason saying enjoy those cloudy days.